Hello, and thank you for tuning into Abduction Victim to Survivor. My name's Abby, and I am your host for today. My podcast is about family abduction and the stories of those who've lived through it. Their stories are filled with pain and hope and resilience. I am very passionate about dispelling the myth that when a child is taken by a parent or family member, it's okay. You will see from the personal stories shared here and from the experts that it is not okay. You will learn about the harm it causes to the abducted children, the searching parents, and of course, to those who love them. I do my best to create a safe space for people to share heartfelt, painful, and difficult conversations to help you understand family abduction and show those with lived experience that they are not alone. This is personal for me because my son was abducted from me and his life when he was 10 years old. I want to emphasize that time is of the essence when it comes to recovering abducted children and all missing children. The longer they remain missing, the more pain and trauma the children will experience. Well, today I am so excited because my guest is my dear friend, Carol. Carol and I have been friends and colleagues for, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many years, just 20, maybe a long time.
23.
23. 23 years. I first met Carol at a conference somewhere on the East Coast. I can't remember what state it was, maybe Connecticut. And we just bonded immediately and we became good friends. And ultimately, Carol became a volunteer with Team Hope. She had an experience with a missing child, a missing daughter who I follow and is doing extremely well now. And Carol was such an asset to the Team Hope program. She was absolutely amazing. She went from being a volunteer to being a leader of a team, and then to reaching out to families that we were not able to reach when we first tried to, and she increased by 10% the number of families that we were able to support. That's huge. And Carol, like me, went back to school later in life, although she went back sooner than I did. And she got her Master's of Science in Professional Counseling. She is a licensed professional counselor and she's absolutely wonderful, which you will see when you hear her, because she is going to talk about compliant victimization, which she is actually an expert on. And she is going to apply that to family abduction and what happens to children. So, Carol, hi. Thank you for being
Hello.
here.
It is wonderful to be here. Full
Yeah.
circle. Full circle.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so pleased that you're here to talk about compliant victimization, because I think it's something that people really don't think about for any case type. And it's important for people to understand that, because I can't tell you how many times I heard, well, why didn't he just call home? Or why did he stay? Or why did he do this? And, not just, with my son, but with so many victims, with victims of non-family abductions. When someone takes a child, why did they go? Why didn't they escape when they could? And I think that what you have to share today will really help people understand.
I hope so. That's why I'm here.
I know.
Yeah. One of the things that made me really want to speak about this is from a personal experience. My daughter was not abducted parentally, but there was an alienation that was undeniable. And the alienation was part of the seeds of complicit behavior. And I think in parental abductions, what I have over the years, the families that I've spoken with, they don't understand why their child is dishonest or seeking contact with um, the alienating parent. Why even if let's say the child is already missing, then the left behind, the searching parents, the searching siblings, the cousins, the friends, and like, well, why won't she call? Why didn't he at least write a letter? Why couldn't he have said anything? And these kinds of injuries cause a tremendous amount of long-term damage to the taken child and to the left behind family. And when reunification happens, there are a lot of wounds, a lot of unanswered questions. And when we look at compliant behavior as a survival strategy, it elicits compassion and hope. And we need a lot of compassion and hope in situations like this because the repair is not short term. It's like a garden. You're going to have to weed it all the time. You're going to have to tend to that relationship forever. And the separation, depending on what events happened, how long it went on, that has made kind of a permanent alteration or permanent influence on the relationship. It's not necessarily always negative. I really believe that it can actually enhance relationships, but there is a real trauma and a real damage to it. How like I believe if we really want to understand compliant behavior, we have to look at what would encourage compliance. And I said it was a survival strategy. But before you're even surviving, there's the grooming phase. And this is where my daughter was not parentally abducted, but there was an offender who systematically groomed her. And I remember as a Team Hope parent how surprised I was at the similarities between stories. And I think it's because that it a parent is a person of trust and a person that has influence over
Yeah.
the child. When grooming is effective, the person that's targeting the abuse systematically puts him or herself in that same trusted position, that same powerful influence. And so, look at if you want to educate yourself on behalf of your own recovery with your child, look at the stages of grooming. And yes, you'll have to do some modification and perception because might not often it's dealing with sexual abuse and might not be sexual abuse. But parental abduction is emotional abuse, absolutely without a doubt.
Yeah.
So if you want to study it, there's basically 5 stages. One is targeting, where the person, I'm going to say the abductor here in this language, the abductor decides, I'm going to take my child or children. They establish trust. Well, as a parent, there's going to be some natural trust. And they will behaviorally do more to create trust, gift giving, compliment, flattery, availability. Think about technology, because through technology now you can be available in 24/7, nonstop. And the families that are oblivious to this kind of relationship could be sitting right next to the person, and the person just simply the child's scrolling the internet or have their earbuds, and you think they're listening to a podcast or their favorite song, and they could be systematically influenced. One of the things that draws a child to the abductor is secrecy. And again, through my own personal experience as well as through the training, and I'm a trauma informed therapist. I spent my whole career learning about trauma. Um, Secrecy creates guilt. It creates distance. It also creates misunderstanding. I actually played into the alienation. If I became, like, for instance, frustrated with my daughter, why are you not getting your chores done? You haven't fed your animals. And I was getting annoyed, and all the while that was just playing into what the offender, what the perpetrator, groomer, whatever you want to call him or her parent, um, was saying. Oh, your mother is mean, or they don't really love you. They don't understand you the way I understand you. And before too long, you start thinking the child, starts thinking, "You're right. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right."
yeah. That can
Um
happen, parental abduction when actually, when the abducting parent tells the child that your your mother or your father, the other parent, is not letting me see you.
mhm.
They won't let me see you, or they'll only let me see you this, and this, and I wanna see you all the time, and, expressing their love, and also that they are the victim. So
Mhm.
then the child and the abducting parent can bond by being victims of the other parent.
Absolutely, they create these alliances,
Yeah,
and that's part of the secrecy. And the parent, the unknowing parent, just plays right into it.
right.
I one of them, depending on age, of course, of the child that you're talking about. But if the children are older, a little bit older, the abductor might say, your parent, the your let's use mom, since I'm a female, but it could certainly be a father. Your mother is so controlling. Look at her. She's just all over you. She noses into your business. She doesn't let you have any freedom. And so then what does a parent do is, they parent. And so with
Yeah,
that lens, even a simple thing like, did you remember your lunch? Oh, mom, you're so controlling. And it feeds in and creates legitimacy and draws that person more and more to it. Eventually, between the secrecy and this trust building, there's such a wedge that the child starts feeling isolated, and isolated from their siblings, from their friends, from their parent, because of the secrecy, because of the maybe the unresolved resentment that's building. Like, why are you so controlling, mom? Why are you so conservative? Or why can't we go out and have fun? You're so cheap. You want to save all your money. You never buy me things. And even if that's not true, that is what's becoming a truth. I think it's really important to understand that. I kind of, if we're going to draw a metaphor, is if you're out in the sun, your skin's going to darken, and these influences darken the perception on the child, and it's intentional. And so before long, because of the negative thoughts, and then also the guilt of, there's dissonance. There's, I shouldn't be doing this, but yet I'm just so frustrated that, there's only two ways to solve cognitive dissonance. One is to change the behavior to line up with your views,
right.
or change your views. So if there's persistent grooming, if there's persistent trust building, gift giving, flattery, and systematic alienation, and and discrepancy, the child is just going to do what comes natural. I think it's very important, and this is from a trauma perspective. What we know about bonding is human beings feel secure in attachment. We want to relate, and we want to belong, and we want to be loved, and we must feel safe.
Yeah,
So, this kind of systematic behavior creates a lack of safety, um, especially if the child is asked to do something that would betray the relationship. It might be, don't tell your mom I came over. Here's $100. Use it for yourself. Don't share it. Let You can smoke weed at my house. Don't worry, I'm the cool parent. And you start doing these things that, ooh, I don't know, this is bad. Um, so they start feeling unsafe with one set. And because this is a biological imperative, Safety is a biological imperative. It's going to draw them to the other parent.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we will always choose attachment over authenticity. So even when the child might be thinking this isn't right, it's mom's birthday. We shouldn't we shouldn't do this. Next week's mom's birthday. Why would I not want to call mom on her birthday? Well, that's again, I'm I'm going to attach. I need to belong. I'll put those feelings away somehow. So if we look at compliance, it is seeking safety. It is an adaptation to the distress that's happening psychologically, and it's a biological imperative.
Hmm.
Now, if a family starts viewing it like that, they can be a little bit more benign because what what happens when there's reunification is there's a tremendous amount of pain and suffering on both ends, both parties. Um, the left behind parent feels betrayed, rejected, and then they may have gone through their own kind of I'm a terrible person, I'm a terrible parent, oh, I should have never done this or I should have done that, or the siblings might be mad. Like, you have no idea what you caused us, or it ruined um, our senior history, I mean, our senior year at school, and you're just you were selfish. And if we look at it like that, the repair is going to be very, very difficult. On the return child or the abducted child, they go through a tremendous amount of guilt, tremendous amount of insecurity in believing that, one, they're trustworthy enough to have a meaningful relationship, that they'll be forgiven. They're confused. They feel sometimes re-abducted when they are returned home, because it's like, here we go again. My attachment disrupt, another rupture.
Yeah,
And yet they're supposed.
especially the way the recovery and reunification are handled, they
Mhm.
definitely could feel that they were re-abducted. And
Oh,
also depending on how long they've been gone, because if they've been gone maybe a couple of weeks or a couple of months, maybe they won't feel that way. But if they're gone for years, they've already established another life, and that
right.
is like a reabduction.
Right. And these kids have to resolve, like, their own handle and their own, like, participation, and they don't understand compliant behavior either.
Right.
So if the returning family members can be prepared for that and know this is what's going on, then they can help their child accept, hey, we're not going to deny this happened. Yes, there was suffering, but we didn't know. This is what we've learned. We want you to know this, because they feel tremendous amount of guilt, tremendous amount of confusion, anger. Why did this have to happen? Then there's that, who do I belong to? Who am I?
Yes, the identity
Right? The
crisis.
identity.
Yeah.
Huge, huge.
Yes, it is.
Um, we talked right before the recording of a person that we both know that didn't even know she was parentally abducted.
Right.
you know? And how does that happen? Well, because attachment, we will adapt, we'll become who we need to get along with the person that we are with,
Yes.
and we might not ever know.
Yeah. And it's so important for the searching parents to understand that, to have, a lot of love and patience. And
Mhm.
because the child who returns is not the child who was taken away. And it's a lot of parents think that the child has to adapt to them, the searching parent. Really, they need to adapt to the child, because the child did not ask for this, did not
Right.
want this. And they're confused and they're angry and they have all of these huge, big emotions, big feelings that they don't understand. And I really think it's the searching parents' job to help the child adapt to the I would say new environment, because for them it is like a new environment, and to be kind and patient and understanding and accepting, which is not easy to do at
No.
all. It's so
Right.
hard. Yeah.
Well, and that's the injury on the family.
Yeah.
The abducted child is not the only victim, right? And a lot of people are left just devastated
Yeah.
by this. Um, and think of the positivity that that would bring if to say to somebody who's been absent out of the house for 6 years, who at the last time I remember the story of a woman who helped me in my early years tell a heartbreaking story that she finally found her daughter and spent years finding her. And then when she found her, her daughter rejected her and said, I hate
Yes.
you. I want nothing to do with you. You're a witch. And literally thought she was a witch and and ran out of fear
Yes.
away from her. And that mother was just devastated. She spent thousands of dollars. Um, and then to finally be reunited and have it be devastating. But 5 years after that, they're, in a room together talking about all this, and the daughter felt so bad for doing that.
Yeah.
And it was that whole idea of, listen, the adaptation that helped you adapt, adjust to a whole new life, to be abruptly separated from everyone you knew
Yeah.
was what kept you alive. Don't get rid of that.
Hmm.
It was good. It was good. And we want to use that now. We still want you to adapt. We want you to adapt to a new normal and more information, more perspective. And it's like, oh, what is truth? Well, they get to find out it's complicated, right?
Yeah.
And that if you see it as, but that is what kept you alive. That is what spared you from abuse. That is what helped you graduate from high school. Then it's not as stigmatizing. And it's a lens. It's a lens of it's okay. Thank goodness you could adapt and adjust.
Yeah.
One of the things that I used to tell parents is like, what does compliant behavior look like? Because it has all different manifestations. I think it can be anything from lining up politically, morally, religiously with a parent that maybe you didn't before. It might be dressing like them. Um, it might be rebelling against what your old self, like if you were athletic and then suddenly hate sports, or if you cared about school and then were failing out of classes. All of those things can be signs of that drawing away from one life and drawing toward another.
Yeah.
Um, I often will say that there seems to be, and I think it's part of that secrecy and isolation. There's this phase of being broken, like your identity being severed from it. So you have no choice but to go and follow this new identity, this new option. And I used to always ask the parents, did you find out any behavior that was outside their normal personality? And they would always say, "Oh my gosh, yes!" And it might be, like I said, an athletic person who wanted to go to college on a sports scholarship is suddenly drinking every weekend, or finding tons of condoms everywhere in the room, and it's like, who is this child? Who is this child? That to me is kind of like ding, 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 ding. There's something going on. And we want to, I think this is kind of an American belief system. We're self-determining individuals. We should be responsible for our choices. We are subject to great influence and persuasion. Our biology takes over before we even know it. When we are denied factual information, when we're denied access to freedom and denied power, we will collapse into whatever strategies it takes to live. There's grief that goes along with that. There's anger and confusion that go along with that. Everybody comes back kind of messy.
Yeah.
What helps though is when you have that framework, it's kind of like sunglasses that tint the view of things. See everything as a strategy of adaptation and then offer information. Don't tell them what is true or not because they're not going to believe you. They're not even going to believe their own perspective. I think that the more effective one is always remember if safety is what drew you away from me because you were seeking safety, safety is what I need to provide to bring you back. So we start, and again, I'm going into trauma now. We must feel safe in our body. So, as a tip for parents that might be going, where do I even begin? The easiest place is with your breath. Because when you're calm during a phone call, instead of, oh my gosh, and if you can relax into that, even if you think that they're not hearing you, their little spidey senses are picking up on she was relaxed.
Yeah.
That that by definition creates safety.
Yeah. And it's important to drop any anger you have too, and never, ever say anything bad about the abducting parent. Let the child take the lead in that. And instead of trying to make the abducting parent look bad, concentrate on your relationship with the child and
Mhm.
just your relationship with the child and build on that and
Right,
because the child has the right to love both parents no matter who they are. And
right,
if you try and push them away from the other parent, you're actually pushing the relationship with the child away because you're not allowing them the freedom to feel the way they want to feel. So,
right,
so by just concentrating on your relationship with the child and building on that, you're building trust and love,
right.
and you will have
And
a relationship.
absolutely, Abby. And you're
Yeah.
also giving them what they've not been able to have, which is freedom to choose.
Yes.
You're giving,
Yes.
this is how I feel. I can't stand this man, but
Yeah.
you, that's your father, or that's your, I get it.
Yeah.
You love, you can love us both. It's not an either or.
No,
It's an
it's not.
and. I always I joke around, put the word and on your fridge.
Uh-huh.
It was wrong and he's still your father. Or you are here and we're not ready yet. We're not
Mhm.
getting, yes, she's here and she's not.
Yes.
Because, the body's here, but the heart takes a while to heal. There is a profound rupture here. So it takes a while creating, giving them options and giving them safety. Safety again in that lower your voice, speak slowly. You can speak from I feel because they need to know that they have a right and it's not going to be automatic. So you have to invite them, say, you have your own perspective. Say it because they've lost that fact. You have the right to love both. You have the right to have privacy. Um, I look back on my history, and one of the things that I regret is in my angst, over controlled when my daughter returned.
'Cause you were scared.
I was terrified,
Yeah.
and I felt like I had neglected I neglected my duty as a good parent or else this wouldn't have happened, and the self-blaming that a family goes through is very
Yeah.
real. Um, all I can say, I bring this up because it's kinda touches on what you said about please don't speak badly about the parent. For those that are listening that go, "I just spent a year doing that. Oh, well, I've damaged him." Listen, give yourself permission to fail.
Yeah.
We don't know how to go through this. It is a fog that is dense and dark and uncertain, and you just have to feel your way through it. You're going to make mistakes, but what you can say is name it and say to the child, I'm sorry. I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
I I am going to keep trying. Please forgive me. I don't know what I should do. I've never been through this. Oh, that used to be a mantra. There's no book on this. I don't know how to do this. If you say let's say you have a bad day and you just unload all of the fear and anger, and I'm sure that we've done it. Repair. Relationships can take a lot of rupture. What makes them last is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of the ability to repair. And when we can say, I'm sorry. Compliant behavior. It was an adaptation. You had to adjust.
That's right.
I used to say it's not the especially law enforcement. They would say, this is just a unruly child. Mom and dad, you're just naive. Get over it. They didn't want to live with you. They're better off with the other parent, blah, blah, blah. What you can say is compliant behavior is not necessarily consent. It's the absence of choice.
Yes.
If you're powerless and you're with someone scary, you are not going to provoke violence. You're not going to stand your ground. You're going to collapse.
Yeah.
You're going to acquiesce. And not because you're a coward and not because you want it or not because you're immature or not because you weren't parented right. It's because your biology says danger, danger, danger.
Yeah.
And we have very limited choices. It's wired into us. We can fight. We can run. We can freeze, which can be seen in like depression, fatigue, mental fog, daydreaming,
Mhm.
doom scrolling, or we can fawn. And fawn is that people pleasing. It's okay. It's all right. I'm fine. It's not so bad.
Mhm.
Um, I remember somebody saying to me when she left because she had to because she had violated her brother. She's like, it was better that I was gone. She didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
She hadn't violated her brother before or after being with that person. But that was part of the grooming. That was part of the alienation. Let me break you so that you want to come with me. So with a parent, it's even more potent because a parent has not only a standing like that's my daddy, that's my mommy, but there's still that biological tie, right? You created me.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be kind. You're supposed to be good.
Yeah.
And the more subtle the mistreatment, the harder it is for somebody to believe they're mistreated. And they internalize a great deal of guilt and shame.
Mhm.
They blame themselves.
Mhm.
And why? Well, one is because we're young and the younger the child is, the more egocentric they are.
Right.
And two, we learn by modeling and copying. And so if I see you do it and I do it, then I'm to blame because I did it. I did it. See, I did it.
Yeah.
I can't deny it. I picked up that joint. I crawled out that window. I gave dad the number of my cell phone. Right?
Mhm.
I didn't tell mom that I had a burner phone. Those are those are behaviors that a child has a hard time kind of making peace with.
Yeah.
That's what a recovery could be about. The word recover me.
Yeah.
So it's like allow me to peel back all this craziness and say, who am I? I don't know. All right, where do I begin?
Mhm.
Safety, self-determination. And what I mean by that is like if I were to sit there and talk with somebody that was like, I hate being here. I want to go back to India. I was happier there. A parent that finally finds their one might think how ungrateful or oh this will never get resolved and I hate that man forever doing it. Just that festering stuff. Go back to safety. Wait, I need safety. My child needs to see safety and experience safety. because when I'm safe, I use different parts of my brain. I'm
Yeah.
not in the fear, flight, fight, freeze, fawn. I'm I can start reasoning, I could start remembering, I could start looking, evaluating. She is nice though. This isn't so bad. I do have friends. I do have a room, and they start making their own opinions and and they start refuting some of their own cognitive dissonance. And when they find their own way through it, then it's more anchored.
Yeah, and it takes time. And
Oh,
I think the searching parent needs to realize that this is not something that's going to happen on the day of the recovery. Even, a
right,
month from now, it takes time. Maybe in the first week, it's called like the romance period, where
right,
everything is fine. That first week of the recovery when the child is home, but then reality sets in.
right,
And the child is confused and angry, and it has lived a certain way away from you for whatever period of time it was, um adapted to that time
mm-hmm,
away,
mm-hmm,
developed different habits, maybe personality and characteristic changes that are theirs. And for the searching parent to understand, it's going to take a long time. Actually, for my son, it took years.
yeah,
It really took years.
mm-hmm,
Mostly, it took that long because the reunification was handled so badly.
mm-hmm,
But it takes a long time, and, to have that patience, and, have an adult who understands to talk to, or a therapist, or someone you can vent to, so you don't take it out on the child. So you don't make the
right,
child feel guilty. Like, the worst thing you can say is, "Oh, I had been searching for you. I gave up my life. I spent all my money, just for you." That could be the worst thing that you could do to a
right.
child, to put that guilt on them and that pressure, and make them feel, shame and responsible. They weren't. It was the abductor.
And with a little bit of adjusting, that could be an affirmation of love.
Yeah.
You were worth every penny.
Yeah.
You're still worth every effort, every argument, every misunderstanding, every heartache. This is now
That's good.
the you know
Yeah.
the reunification 2.0. It's like, okay, I have you back. Now can we connect? Can we have a good healthy relationship?
Yeah.
And for the family, I would say, it's really important that you get some support for yourself, because Abby, like what you said, put the anger aside.
Yeah.
Try not to do over, force your will. We're going to, because we're tired, we're scared, we're
Yeah.
angry,
Yeah.
we feel insecure. We've been told all sorts of stuff about ourselves and our kids that are not complimentary. And
Yes.
so what do we do? Well, get some support so
Mhm.
that you can be your best version of yourself, not perfected, but okay, this is a lot better than I was an hour ago.
Yeah.
I'm not going to throttle them. I'm not going to have a meltdown right now. Take care of myself, get my body calm, then I'm going to engage.
Yeah.
Be patient, be hopeful. It takes a while, but you know what? Make it a lifestyle, because then there's again something positive of, I want to be about repair. To think that, okay, this should be done. No, repair is a process. It's like we eat all the time,
Yeah.
we bathe all the time.
Mhm.
So this repair mechanism is just part of it. And those skills can then enhance even other relationships that have nothing to do with the parental abduction.
Mhm.
Another thing I really want to address that might be something that people haven't been able to talk about is just the whole stigma of having a child abducted, because it's easy to fall when people outside look at an abduction. They often, it's kind of a way to make themselves feel better, like, I will make myself different from you.
That's right. So they won't
they
be a
start making
victim.
theories,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I remember experiencing all sorts of weird comments, and suggestions like, "Well, it won't happen to my daughter because we don't let our kids ever dot, dot, dot." I'm like, "Yeah." But there is a profound sense of shame and shaming on the left behind. Like, what's really going on that your ex had to do that? What kind of marriage did you have? What kind of if you had a crazy enough marriage or a crazy enough partner, then your family life must that have been worthy of escaping from.
Yeah.
And so, I encourage the left behind parents to do their own repair work, do their own counseling or spiritual healing, whatever you do to repair your own wounds. Because it's really, really hard to hold water in a cracked glass. And you're going to be expected to hold a lot of water for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you can do if you're still searching is use this time not only to find your child, but to find yourself again, to figure out strategies to handle there was a certain amount of freedom when I was finally at that point where I could say, I know why people think that. I get it. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. But I don't I wasn't compulsively trying to defend my reputation or defend my parenting or defend my family.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And there might be some truth to it. Okay. And I'm moving on. So that would be thing education on the parental abduction. There's some great books that you could be accessing, and not just parental abduction. Read up on attachment and bonding. Read up on trauma and how it's held in the body, because trauma isn't just understanding what you've been through and being able to talk about it. Trauma healing is really about, can I ever feel safe again, safe in my body, safe with my family? Abduction it severs those ties. It severs the family connection. So you come back and it's kind of like, how do you hold hands if you don't have any hands anymore? So to reattach after the cut, it takes a while
Yes.
because you're not just repairing the relationship. There's usually other issues that are severe, like education has been interfered with, financial devastation. There might have been addiction, or there might be post recovery addiction and post recovery depression and post recovery self harm. Again, it's easy for the family to go, obviously, I'm toxic here. It's me, it's us. Or what's wrong with you? You have all this stuff and you're not doing anything. Go back to what we know about trauma. Trauma is held in the body. So those behaviors are signs of adaptation. They're trying desperately
Yeah.
to deal with trauma, deal with the dissonance, deal with the guilt, deal with the uncertainty, deal with the feeling of trapped.
Yeah. And
And just,
understand too that you may not be able to do this on your own, that,
yeah,
getting help from a therapist who understands these issues, understands trauma, understands family abduction.
right.
And you can find therapists like that through the Family Advocacy Division of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But understand that it takes strength to reach out for help. It's not a sign
It
of
is.
weakness when you ask for help. It's actually, I believe, a sign of strength, because you're strong enough to do that, to realize I need help. And the more
Right.
help you get, the stronger you will be for your child when not only in the search for your child, but when your child comes home. I know I was a hot mess when my son came home. I mean, a total mess. So I
Mhm.
wasn't that helpful for him, and definitely not
Mhm.
for myself. Um, and there wasn't really any help back then, but there is now. There are people who are trained in this. Definitely, we understand more about trauma. we understand more about parental abduction. So,
Mhm.
I just encourage people, get help, get
I
help.
think a team approach is essential because there's so
Yeah.
many different facets to this. Like I said, there could be physical health needs, there's financial advice, there's education advice, and I remember being as a peer support on Team Hope. I wasn't even aware I had those certain thoughts or feelings until somebody else would say it,
Yes.
and I would like, "Oh my gosh, I've experienced that."
Yes.
Um, I didn't know I was self-blaming until I'll never forget this. I had a conversation with a woman who was completely different from me. I had a large family. She had one child. I was country living, she was urban. I was conservative, she was not. I was kind of strict and controlling, she was permissive, and the same thing happened. And the same situations she was describing, I'm like, I've experienced it, I've seen them. My daughter, my son, and it when I heard it, I'm like, you're so different from me, but yet it's still the same. That's when it started becoming the behavior started becoming a set of symptoms, part of the crime, part of the injury. Oh, this is abduction related. This is what happens
Mhm.
when relationships are abruptly terminated. This is what happens to a child when their anchors are uprooted.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what happens to a body
Yeah.
when it's not been sleeping or nourished right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I agree with getting support and being open because isn't that what you're going to want your child to be willing to do? Be open-minded. Would you go to counseling? Would you go to a doctor? One last thing, and I know we're getting close to the time. One of the things that my daughter said to me one day is she said, "I'm tired of you trying to fix me." And I'm like, "No, honey, I'm just trying to help you."
Yeah.
It's anonymous, and I needed to hear her. I really did want her to get well, and it wasn't because I felt like she was terrible. I was
Mhm.
concerned,
Yeah.
but she was interpreting it as you're trying to fix me. And I listened, and I remember saying, "Do you?" We used to have to drag her to counseling, and I asked her, I said, "Do you want to stop?" And she's like, "Yes." And I remember thinking, but you're not what you're, but, and I thought, listen, hear this person, give her some room.
Yeah.
And I did. I said, then we're not going again. And I wasn't sure I did the right thing, but i- in hindsight, she reflected back that that was absolutely pivotal.
Mhm.
That she said, Mom, that was the first time that I could tell you were listening. And it gave me the hope that I could be honest with you.
Yeah. That's wonderful, and she has grown into a wonderful woman. Absolutely. A
Yes,
great
she's
mother
amazing.
herself. So,
Hmm.
you did good,
Yeah.
Carol. But yeah, thank you. But I have one question to ask you that I ask all our guests. What is the one thing you want our listeners to know, to remember, to take away from your episode?
Don't give up. No matter how messy, how discouraging, there will be cycles, kind of like our weather, it just changes. Don't give up. They deserve that. You deserve that. You love your child. Stand in that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Carol.
Keep doing the wonderful work you're doing, Abby.
You too, Carol. Well,
And for all those families out there, we're sorry that you're going through this, but we're just so honored to be here
thank
to help
you.
you.
I just want to share my screen right now and show you a missing child. Let's see. Where is she? Here we go. This is Darius Spells. He's just so adorable.
Mhm.
Look at that. Trying not to smile, but smiling anyway. Um, he's 9 years old and he's from Lancaster, California. He's been missing since January 22nd of this year. He was last seen on January 22nd, and he may be in the company of his father. If you think that you have seen Darius, call the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department at 661 948 8466 or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 1-800-THE-LOST. For those of you who are just listening and don't have a visual, I encourage you, please go to missingkids.org and search for Darius, and you could see his picture there. And you can be his voice. You can be his hero. You can help him come home if you have seen him. Thank you so much. And Carol, let's see, let me get this back. I want to thank everybody for listening for today's podcast and being here today. And if you have any questions, I'm so happy to do my best to answer them. And I would appreciate your comments and suggestions. You can reach me at the email abduction.victimtosurvivor@gmail.com. You can also follow the podcast on our Facebook page, Abduction, Victim to Survivor. I really hope that you will subscribe and leave a review or a comment or a like. I believe your support will help people find their voices, the strength that they need to tell their stories. And if you or someone you know is facing family abduction, custodial conflict, or the aftermath, please reach out to me. You're not alone. We'll see you next Tuesday on Abduction, Victim to Survivor. Thank you. Bye now. And Carol, thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest, and it's so nice to catch up and see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to all our listeners. I really appreciate you caring about family abduction. Thank you. See you next Tuesday.